There comes a point in every young boy's life where they finally become a man. You might say puberty or eating a bowl of nails for breakfast without any milk. For me, it was making this video. This challenge has changed me in ways you couldn't possibly imagine. Sonic Unleashed DLC stages are notorious for being the hardest stages to ever grace the franchise, and today we ask the question that has haunted me. Is it possible to beat all the DLC stages in Sonic Unleashed without dying? And if I do even once, it's back to the beginning of the game. Nah, I am actually so scared about this challenge. A lot of these stages I've only done a couple of times, so we'll see what happens, but... Why is this man so excited about his glizzy? Starting out in 1-1, the stage isn't too crazy, but we'll quickly find out that in contrast to previous challenges where the night levels were easier, it's the exact opposite here. The day DLC stages feel like someone grabbed a bunch of spikes and fire assets and threw them all on a level together and said, "Oh, you want to have fun with good level design? Yes? Well, too bad. Fuck you." Okay, let me calm down for a second. Continuing on with the 2D section, God damn it! After a quick reset, we easily start plowing through the level with no troubles. We run up the hill, and how did I miss that? Another thing this level introduces that will be a very real danger for us are bottomless pits. This stage wastes no time in making my anxiety spike more than my blood sugar, as these pits are everywhere in these day stages. One slip up, and my ass will be sent all the way back to the beginning. Regardless, we effortlessly clear out this enemy pack, dodge the spikes in the straightaway, and finish the level. It only gets harder from here. And boy does it get harder, cause what is happening on my screen? After dodging all the spikes on the rails, we reach the 2D section and miss the light dash and somehow not get burnt to a crisp by the fire. I am a god. Never mind, I fucking suck. Continuing on with the level, I easily clear 2 sets of QuickTime events, run through this hallway, and my game crashes? Since I didn't die and it wasn't my fault, I will allow myself in this circumstance to only have to restart the level, not the entire game. Once I make it back, I make it past the gap, get the easiest QuickTime event of my life, and finish the stage. Act 4 is actually so easy. I played the stage 100 times so my muscle memory kicked into high gear. It's also probably one of my favorite day stages due to the fact that it kind of functions like an obstacle course rather than a bunch of random assets thrown together like most of the other ones. Other than that, I actually don't have much else to say about it. One of the few exceptional day stages of the DLC. Easy S rank. Continuing with the easy levels, next up is 1-2 night. Compared to the day stages, the night levels in this challenge are such a breath of fresh air. For the most part, they're much better designed, and because of the slower nature, it's easier to calculate my next move, and if I die, I know that'll be my fault. This is actually so relaxing. Wait, no, fuck, no, please! I really need to shut my mouth sometimes. After barely surviving that, I make my way across the beam to the first mini-boss. Spoiler, it's absolutely nothing to me, and I slap it silly while it screams like a little girl. Once it's down, I do a quick puzzle while avoiding some more wizards and finish the stage with ease. 1-3 is actually nothing to me. It's a massive enemy rush, and I slaughtered every enemy easily.
I'm gonna put some dirt in your eye.
Alright, we're back in the day stages. I'm feeling confident about this one. Never mind, why do I even try? Continuing on with the level, I make the sick D-speed skip and easily... Get out of the floor! No, please, I beg you. No, spare me, please. Ah! This is one of those stages where you have to really pay attention. If you're not 100% locked in, you could easily mess up and fall right to your death or run out of rings. Luckily, I happen to be somewhat decent at this game as I easily breeze through the 2D section and get to the tree. It goes pretty smoothly until I reach the end and fail the QuickTime event, making me do it again! Getting back to the spot, I pass this time actually and finish the stage. 3-2 is just kind of a whatever stage. Pretty much all you do is do laps around the tree and collect rings under a time limit. The thing is, it's extremely easy to get lost and you have to look for a specific spring that'll take you to the end of the stage. It's nothing too exciting. Moving on. I'ma be honest, this level is kinda ass. What the fuck was that? Nah, I'm pissed off now. I'm gonna attack this child.
No, please.
All jokes aside, this level can be a little bit of a problem if you're not accustomed to how Sonic feels while platforming, as the stage is very heavy on that. You're also on a time limit, so you can't really afford to take your time. Luckily, I've practiced this level a good amount of times, so I clear it with no troubles. Honestly, Act 5 is one of the better designed levels, and I have a pretty good time with it. I completely blast through the whole beginning section, do some platforming, fight the mini-boss, and just have a grand old time. You know, maybe I was too hard on this DLC. This level is pretty... Fuck! Guys, I don't know what possessed me to do this challenge. Why am I doing this to myself? I'll tell you why, it's that fucking ice cream man over there. He spiked my sundae, you freaky bastard. A half hour later, we make it back, and luckily we're able to make it in the ring, speed through the final section, and finish the level. Finally. It feels so weird to feel joy when going into a night stage. The past few challenges I used to dread them, but for this one they're such a relief and this level is no different. Act 3 has a good amount of well-designed platforming as well as combat. After swinging from all these poles, I get completely bamboozled and the game shoves some spikes directly into my unprotected asshole. However, I make it back and somehow dodge all these projectiles while going across. I don't know how I managed that, but I'm not complaining. Afterwards, I easily take down the Titan and finish the stage. This one was a lot of fun. Act 4, however, is a completely different story. I have to be extra careful in this stage because the whole level is based on verticality, with bottomless pits for most of the level, as well as these swinging hammers trying to knock me off. However, I managed to weave my way through and make it to the mini-boss. Here I have two options: throw on my Nikes, run away like a coward and pull the lever immediately, or put on my big boy pants and fight. Unfortunately, I make the wrong decision and he knocks me off the platform into the abyss. After taking a break for a little bit to go touch some grass, 40 minutes later, I make it back and manage to beat it. Making it up the platform, I fight another enemy rush. It goes extremely smooth as they prove no challenge for me as I—
Surprise, motherfucker!
Fortunately, this time I'm much more careful and beat this Titan too, ending the stage. Oh boy, more day levels, my favorite— You son of— Honestly, this level isn't too bad. The original stage is my favorite level in the series, and this one is alright, despite the constant spikes and bombs everywhere. I will say though, I don't know how I got through this diving section unscathed. That was a miracle. Regardless, we easily climb up Big Ben, clear the 2D section, and speed through the end with the chasers, though it did get a little annoying with the asset spam on this portion. Despite that, this level is no problem. You know, it's been a while since we've spoken to Professor Pickle. Maybe he'll have some insight on completing this challenge. Excuse me, Professor. Alright, we're finally getting some ground here. This level shouldn't be too bad. At this point, it was starting to get a little bit late, so I decided to go to bed and get some rest before coming back in the morning for another run. Surprisingly, despite waking up at 5 in the morning, I decided to lock in and make it all the way back to this level. This whole beginning section had me shaking in my boots because for a good while, you don't get any rings, and there are spikes, barrels, and bottomless pits everywhere. Luckily, I managed to make it past and finally get a few rings and continue on with the 2D section. It gets a little hectic in some parts, but otherwise I managed to get past it, blow through these enemies, and finish the stage. Act 4 is definitely on the easier side compared to the last one. Most of it, aside from some quick time events, have you just dodging the laser robots. That's literally the entire level. Moving on. Act 5, however, made me want to cry myself to sleep. This entire level is in the sky with a bottomless pit looming underneath the entire time. One slip up and I'll plummet into the abyss along with my mental health. My nerves were on full blast, but luckily I practiced the stage beforehand, picking the most optimal route, and I managed to beat it fairly easily. You know what else is fairly easily? Breaking into every single house in this level as each person screams for mercy. In reality, this level is super easy. Just hit all the switches and clap some more enemies. Super easy. This level definitely has a lot more going on. A lot more platforming, which I really love, and makes really good use of existing assets. Once I make it to the mini-boss, I try to be fancy and kill it with explosives, but for some reason the collision is super wonky because every single time, the explosions will hit me instead of the actual target. Eventually, I get so sick of it, I grab this completely helpless enemy and throw it straight into the abyss. One thing I really like about this stage is this section with the circular platforming. It's definitely unique to this level, and again shows the great design of these night levels. Alright, Clanker, you're coming with me. The way he dropped. Why did he drop like that? Moving on the cool edge. These next day stages have never made me so angry at a game in my entire life. But this area? This made me want to commit a felony, and you will know why very soon. Starting out, it isn't too bad, just be careful of all the obstacles in the straightaway. Moving on to the 2D section, we carefully navigate these platforms before— After throwing my chair across the room, we make it back after an hour and carefully navigate this section. It's not too bad until I get to the bobsled section. The fact that there are more bombs and spikes makes this way more nerve-wracking, and I pray to Jesus that I don't get a bomb shoved directly into my unprotected asshole. However, the water section made me even more nervous. My palms were dripping like a gooner meeting a woman for the first time, and I had to be extra careful not to mess up, as death was instant if I mess up. Luckily, the rest of the stage went very smoothly. Even the sled section at the end was no issue at all, and I finished the level. Starting on a 2-2, What the fuck was that? A lot of the stage deals with a lot of precise homing attacking, which really made me sweat. The bobsled makes a return here, and it makes me want to flip over this table and cry myself to sleep. I had to be very cautious, especially with the ice physics, but other than that, it didn't really prove too much of an issue. The ending section with running on the water and the falling icicles really made me spooked though. Regardless, we finished the level. This fucking stage. I have never felt a way about a level in any video game ever in my life. Let me lay this out for all of you. The drift in this game is very loose. It's not tight like it is in Generations, and you have to be very precise with how you use it. Typically, you want to curve out and then swing in with the drift in order to be as accurate as possible. With this stage, however, there are ice physics, and it takes that previous method and shoves it directly somewhere I do not want it. Every single time I got to the stage, because of the awful drift in this stage, I took death after death after death after death after death. This level almost made me quit this challenge entirely. You have to keep boosting and you have to keep drifting or you will never make it in time. And every time I died, it was another hour I had to spend to get back here on top of the other 2 previous day stages I just did, which sometimes didn't go great either. I was at the brink of giving up, but then I had an idea. If I just did this level first, I could get it out of the way early and not have to worry about midway through the challenge when my nerves were a lot higher and made me want to exercise my Second Amendment rights. So that's exactly what I did, and despite failing a bunch more times, I did manage to beat the stage. That B stands for bit. After finally beating that nightmare, I speed through another hour before finally reaching Act 4. This stage is a little bit worrying because most of it is flying above a giant bottomless pit and making sure your air boosts are timed perfectly so as not to fall. Despite getting clapped by the spikes here, I didn't really have any problems and I finished the level easily. I've never been more happy to see a night stage in this game after the hell I just went through. The beginning part of the stage is lighting torches, so it's pretty simple. After that, we do some combat and I'm able to just turn my brain off and have some fun. You sicken me, Mr. Robot. Get fucked! Wait. I was unaware that throwing something into fire would cause said object to bounce. Why are you dancing? After doing a lot more platforming, we near the end of the stage where I have to fight 3 of these guys? Listen, Professor Pickle, I know we've had our differences in the past, okay? Differences being a massive understatement, but I need your aid in helping me to achieve this impossible feat. What wisdom do you have that will help me succeed in my endeavors?
Cucumber sandwich, cucumber.
Calling the police. Despite that, we easily slaughter these mini-bosses and finish the stage with the easiest S rank of my life.
Sonic.
Stay back! Act 3 is probably the easiest level in the entire game, because I cheesed it. In the beginning section, I get so angry with this robot, I throw it across the room, giving it several concussions. After doing some more combat and light platforming, I reach this area. I'm gonna be honest, I didn't know what I was supposed to do for a little bit, so I saw the gold ring hidden behind this wall. Luckily for me, walls provide no challenge for me as I help. Please, I'm stuck. Eventually, I managed to phase through it and cheese the level. I was pretty lazy with this one, but hey, never said I couldn't. After that whole fiasco, I head on over to Chunen to visit my favorite grandma. I get there, but she's gone. She's not at her table. I run around trying to find her and oh, thank God, I finally do. But this old hag tells me that she lost her fucking dentures again. I swear, every challenge, this boiled egg-shaped looking is always losing something and I have to find it. For God's sakes, Grandma, get your shit together, because if I come back during another challenge and you lose something, you and I are gonna have a long talk. And thus began another one of Grandma's quests. Except now with a bunch of spikes and fire everywhere. I was a little bit nervous about these spinning platforms because of how stiff Sonic controls in the air regarding platforming, but it actually went smoother than I expected. Once I got on the water, I had to immediately lock in, otherwise I'd get my pepperonis jiggled by the massive spikes everywhere. The 2D section actually goes really well considering during my practice runs, I would always fail somewhere in this section. The same goes for the next set of spinning platforms. I was extremely spooked because I was over a bottomless pit for most of it with spinning spikes everywhere, and for some reason, the Lightspeed Dash wanted me to taste the sweet release of death, but I was able to save myself. However, the mini-boss was no problem at all and I finished the stage. This stage is notorious for being one of the hardest DLC stages in the game. However, despite shaking in my boots near the beginning, most of the stage was absolutely trivialized by the amount of D-speed I could pull off, skipping huge amounts of the stage. Because of this glitch, I could stick to the top path with the rails and never have to worry about falling to the bottom level with all the water. I still do get a few close calls, but other than that, this level is surprisingly easy and I get an S rank no problem. Act 4 is actually such an underrated level. It is a little bit scary with all the bottomless pits and the precise homing attacks, but once you get a good flow going, this level is surprisingly fun to run through. That is something to mention with these day DLC stages. There are a lot of low points, but the highs are absolutely amazing, like I said with Windmill Isle Act 4 earlier. Not much to say here, it's a really fun stage. What is going on with this level? Somebody please help! Act 5 isn't a bad stage by any means, but I'm gonna be honest, this one just stuck its foot in my brain and pounded it into jelly. There's a lot going on with so many hazards, on the water no less, for a few laps, and I feel like I'm just being taken in all different directions. sections. It's not hard, but it can be a little disorienting for new players. Despite that, I was able to get through it with not too much trouble. The stage is pretty easy. A lot of it is just combat, which is no problem for me. Although I do like the fact that I have to break down these walls and basically jump scare the enemies before committing mass extinction on all of them. But then at the end, after I defeat the 2 mini-bosses, I go open the door thinking a beautiful gold ring would await me, but no, it's Frederick! After that, we finish the stage. Act 3 is more what I love about these DLC stages, well-designed platforming. This stage has a big emphasis on swinging on poles or handles, and this kind of platforming is one of my favorite aspects about these stages. You still have some standard combat, but I really enjoyed the platforming in this one. Eventually, we get to the end where we find the grandma's dentures, but they're being guarded by this group of enemies. They beg for our forgiveness, but Sonic, thirsting for bloodlust over this injustice, slaughters them all, making them cry to their mommies. After beating the stage, we return the dentures to the grandma. Better not lose that shit again. What I'm about to lose is my sanity. I don't know who designed this stage because all it is just the same level as the main stage, but with an absurd amount of mines, spikes, and fire all over the place. I am convinced this level was not playtested because of how much is going on with the asset spam. Hard mode, more like bending me over and fucking me hard. Regardless, I managed to get through it somewhat okay, although I am shocked I was able to see anything during this wall running section with the alternate lighting mod I had enabled. That could have very easily ended in my death. Somehow we make it through in one piece. Act 3 is an interesting stage. It's not hard or anything, and fun fact, it's actually the only fully 3D day stage in the entire game. For this level, all you have to do is run around the map and find Chow. It's a cool premise, but it can be a little bit confusing to navigate. The structure is sort of linear, but if you miss one of the Chow, it can be a pain trying to backtrack to find it and then get back to where you were. Other than that, it didn't give me any problems, and it is nice to see the Chow in a non-adventure styled game. Easy level. Immediately, I start the next stage by throwing a bunch of explosives at these innocent enemies. This stage is pretty good, more of what I've come to expect with the night levels. I like this part where in order to progress, you have to throw these boxes at these enemies far out, as well as in this combat encounter where if you want to kill the wizard fast, you can toss the weaker enemies at it to make it a non-issue. After some light platforming, I have to smack 2 titans, which is no issue for me, and I finish the stage. Act 3 is actually really cool. A lot of it deals with platforming, while admittedly over a bottomless pit, you really need to pay attention with how you manage your jumps and where you grab onto due to the spikes covering the poles. Although I didn't seem to quite grasp that memo, and instead of going to the right like a normal person, I instead risk it for the biscuit to reach the other side and fail miserably, making me want to commit several crimes. After another 2 hours, I continue on with the level. I breeze through the platforming, but I have a couple close calls with the spikes on the poles, but I managed to somehow grab onto the pole after being hit. My heart also did a hop and a skip when fighting this titan because it almost slapped me into the abyss as well as my will to live. However, I managed to beat it and finish the stage. After visiting Professor Pickle to play Pickle with his pickle, we make it to Empire City. One thing I will say is from here on out, the quality of these day stages start to pick up considerably, and a lot of these are actually pretty fun to run through. Except for this thing, like how the rest of the stage is pretty easy. It's mostly the same as the original stage with a few differences here and there. I make it through the interceptor and pass the rail sections easily, getting to the end of the stage. Act 3 is also a really fun stage. It deals with a lot of quick stepping and has a lot of cool camera angles. One thing I will suggest is for this level specifically, if you have the alternate lighting mod on, turn it off for this level because it is very hard to see the spikes as they blend in with the darkness. Other than that, this level is pretty well designed, and I really like how different the interceptor chase is with a different perspective. After that, I beat up some more enemies and finish the level. This level is also really well designed. I love all the swinging and pole jumping that's required in this level. However, my little monkey brain had to be careful with these tightrope balancing sections because it's super easy to fall off, especially with the electricity coating part of the beam. I was also really nervous when going for this lever because of all the enemies I had to grab onto as well as them attacking me. One slip up and it was off to Davy Jones' locker. Luckily, I managed to get by them and finish the stage fairly easily. I am starting to get really nervous, bro. I do not want to die here. I got one more stage, okay? One more area. It's time to lock in or I'm gonna get fucking wasted at that bar over there. This stage was terrifying. The premise is that you have to climb this huge tower. In order to do that, you need to hit these switches and pull levers along the way to unlock more platforming parts to climb. The concept itself is really fun and it is cool to go through until you realize Sonic has no drop shadow in his Werehog form, which makes precise platforming on these tiny squares really difficult and nerve-wracking to do. Countless times during this stage, I would think I know where Sonic is going to land and he lands in a very dangerous spot instead. Regardless, I managed to make it to the top, fight the 2 titans, and finish the level. Moving on to the final area, I was extremely surprised because this stage honestly feels easier than the original level, despite it being a hard version. There are springs and pulleys where there weren't before, and all around, while some things are harder, it feels way more tame than some of the other levels. Coming onto the 2D section, I easily breezed through and what the fuck was that? I'm not gonna lie, yo, I was getting really tired of this game now. I was playing it for hours and hours and I needed a break. So I took the rest of the day off, got some homework done, ate some food, went to bed, and woke up ready the next day. And ready I was. This run was perfect. I made no mistakes the entire time and made it all the way back to where I was the previous day. One thing I really like about this stage is the ending, where you're actually thrown off and get to run on the side of the waterfall, which really took me by surprise. Afterwards, you go down the cliffside backwards, and it really makes this level stand out amongst the other 1-2s of the game, because it actually changes things up rather than being a bunch of asset spam. This level was a blast to run through and is very well designed. I'm gonna be honest, I did not remember this level at all before playing it, and for good reason. Act 4 is probably one of the most whatever levels I've played in the entire game. It's really short and there's almost nothing memorable about it. The one thing I will say is that near the end, it gets a little bit worrisome with the falling platforms as you have to avoid the swinging axes, but other than that, it's really easy. What is not easy is this level. The whole level is over water. One slip up and you're a goner. It doesn't help that there are spikes and water geysers all over the place, and the drift is not reliable for getting around. The best you can do is move with the analog stick, but even then, you don't have that much control to avoid them. All I was able to do was hope and pray that I would be spared. Luckily I was, and I finished the level. One more set of night stages to go. This level was really fun. It's your standard combat and platforming that we've come to know, and the atmosphere just makes it really calming to run through. What isn't relaxing is the fact that during this Titan fight, I kept getting smacked and thought it was the end for me, but luckily there's an invisible wall blocking me from drowning in 2 feet deep water. And after beating this Titan, there were 2 more waiting to clap my cheeks, and that's exactly what they did. What was really funny was one of the times I got slapped, I got sent right into the camera, Sonic looking at me like, ugh. Despite that, I easily finished the stage. Act 3 is also really cool. This is another climbing stage where you need to ascend the top of these ruins while controlling the water level to progress. However, once again, the same problem arises from the last one where I can't see my drop shadow, and unfortunately, tragedy stomps me right in the face. You know, I really wanted to make a video on Crossworlds, especially the multiplayer. No, what the fuck? Are you kidding me? Unfortunately, due to the game not working properly, the reticle to grab the ledge didn't appear and I fell to my death. This moment almost made me quit this challenge entirely. I had to go through it all again after getting screwed on the final stage. Things were not looking great for me. But despite that, I kept going. I died many more times following, but I didn't let that crush my spirit. I was going to beat this challenge, and so I locked in, playing at my absolute peak. All these DLC stages were nothing to me as I breezed through them all. 2.5 hours later, I finally made it back and made quick work of this stage. I climbed to the top of these ruins to open the door and see what boss awaited me. I get there and it's just an enemy pack. Oh. Well, I beat them easily and finished the stage. The challenge was beaten, but it felt weird to leave the video off here, but what else could I do? Completely destroy my mental health and make my therapist need therapy. I present to you Eggman Land Act 1-2. This is a mod created by Stanza Rore. You thought Eggman Land was hard? Nope! Nothing compared to what I'm about to experience, and if I die here, the rule still applies. I have to go all the way back. Starting out the beginning is already different, having to do QuickTime events to get even across the ledge. The shortcut I usually take to skip the section was closed off, so I had to go the long way around, which I was not used to. After beating up a horde of enemies, I do some platforming, take a big leap of faith to reach these springs, and make it to the Werehog section. I hit the hourglass and the game crashes because the mod's outdated. Well, that was anticlimactic. Regardless, we finally beaten all the DLC and reached the end of the challenge. It definitely had its frustrating moments, but it was cool to see all the DLC stages again. The Werehog levels really surprised me with how good they were in comparison to the day stages. However, we finally reached our conclusion. The answer is yes. I can beat Sonic Unleashed hardest challenge. I'm gonna sleep for a year now. Thank you all for watching and subscribe for more.